You're being positioned at the head of the table, chosen one. Every challenge you've faced, every setback that knocked you down, every moment you felt like giving up, all of it was preparation for this exact moment. You've been in training, and graduation day is here. In ancient times, there was a position so powerful, so respected, that it shaped the destiny of entire bloodlines. They called it Dominus, the master of the household. Not just someone who lived in the house, but the person who determined how that house operated, what values it stood for, and what legacy it would leave behind. That's the seat you're moving into, chosen one. Think about it for a moment. How many people do you know who truly sit at the head of their own table? Most folks are still asking permission, still waiting for someone else to validate their decisions, still looking around the room wondering if they belong there. But not you. Not anymore. You've been preparing for this position your entire life, even when you didn't know it. Every challenge that didn't break you, every skill you developed while others were coasting, every moment you chose to keep going when quitting would have been easier. All of that was preparation for this moment. Here's something most people don't realize about preparation. It doesn't always look like success. Sometimes preparation looks like failure, disappointment, rejection. But what was really happening during those moments was that you were developing the emotional muscles you'd need to handle real responsibility. You were learning to make decisions when the stakes actually matter. You were discovering that you could survive things that would break other people. Every time someone told you no, when you knew the answer should have been yes, you were learning to trust your own judgment over popular opinion. Every time you had to solve a problem with limited resources, you were developing the creativity that will make you unstoppable when you finally have unlimited resources. Every time you felt like giving up but didn't, you were proving to yourself that you have what it takes to see things through. What most people don't understand about power is that it's not given to you by external forces. Real power, the kind that changes generations, comes from recognizing what you've always carried within you. You've got something special, you've always had it. Maybe you call it intuition, maybe you call it vision, maybe you just call it knowing things. But while others are guessing and hoping and crossing their fingers, you operate from a place of inner certainty. You made that decision that everyone thought was crazy, but it turned out to be exactly right. You saw an opportunity that no one else noticed, and it paid off big time. You spoke up in that meeting, and suddenly everyone in the room was taking notes. That wasn't luck. That was your magic. The difference between you and most people is that you don't just have ideas. You have the ability to make things happen. You know how to take that vision in your head and turn it into reality in the world. You understand how to delegate, how to inspire, how to bring people together around a common purpose. While you've been thinking you need to develop these abilities, you've actually been demonstrating them all along. The magic was never something you had to learn. It was something you had to recognize. But here's the deeper layer that most people miss. Your magic isn't just about making things happen. It's about making the right things happen at the right time for the right reasons. While other people chase every opportunity, you have this uncanny ability to sense which opportunities are actually worth pursuing. While others force their way through doors, you somehow know which doors are meant to open for you. That's not strategy. That's not networking. That's wisdom operating through you in real time. It's like having a direct line to the intelligence that runs the universe, and most people don't even realize you have access to that frequency. While you've been doubting yourself, wondering if you're really cut out for something bigger, the people around you have been dropping hints that you're different. But here's the thing about being chosen: you're often the last one to see it clearly. Think back to the conversations you've had in the past year. How many times has someone said something like, "You should really start your own business," or "You'd be great at leading this project," or "Why aren't you running for office?" You probably brushed it off, thinking they were just being polite. They were recognizing something in you that you hadn't fully acknowledged yet. Your co-workers have been watching how you handle crisis situations while everyone else is panicking. Your friends have been noticing how your advice always seems to work out, even when it goes against conventional wisdom. Your family has been seeing how you naturally become the person everyone turns to when important decisions need to be made. Even strangers have been responding to you differently. The waiter who goes out of their way to make sure your order is perfect. The customer service representative who suddenly becomes helpful when you explain your situation. The person in line behind you at the coffee shop who strikes up a conversation because something about your energy feels approachable and trustworthy. You carry yourself like someone who knows their worth, even when you don't feel like you do. You radiate the kind of quiet confidence that makes people want to follow your lead, even in small everyday interactions. You've been unconsciously practicing for this new level of responsibility your entire life, and everyone around you has been your witness. What you don't see is that there's an invisible network of people who've been watching your progress. These aren't necessarily people you know personally. They're individuals who recognize potential when they see it. Some are in positions of influence, some are entrepreneurs, some are innovators who remember what it was like to be where you are right now. They've been tracking your moves, not in a creepy way, but in the way that scouts watch promising athletes. They've noticed how you handle pressure, how you treat people who can't do anything for you, how you respond to both success and setbacks. They've been waiting to see if you'd develop the character to match your capabilities. Here's the incredible part. Some of these people are going to start reaching out to you soon, not because they need something from you, but because they want to offer you something, opportunities that aren't advertised anywhere. Introductions that could change your entire trajectory. Partnerships that seemed impossible just months ago. This isn't about luck or coincidence. This is about a community of high achievers who understand that their own success depends on lifting up the next generation of leaders. They remember when someone took a chance on them, and they're looking for people worthy of that same investment. You've been proving your worthiness without even knowing you were being tested. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. Look, I know you came here for your chosen one video, but I need a minute. If I don't speak this into the field now, I might never forgive myself. Some of us were born into fire, abused, exiled, haunted by truths no one around us could hold. That doesn't mean we're cursed. It means we were chosen to walk through the veil and come back with the map. Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we gather every week, live on Zoom, face to face. And when I say real people, I mean it. A former military drone operator who now uses his mind as the remote. A millionaire CFO who walked away from everything to become a psychic in Noosa. A spiritual healer once trapped inside a satanic cult. A seer, a sage, a soul who left Mormonism and found the Gnosis instead. These are the ones who gave it all up when their calling hit. And that's just a glimpse. And every call is recorded. So when you're alone, when you're crawling through the dirt of your own awakening, you can press play and feel the field again. This is not for everyone, but maybe it's for you. Can you see yourself among us? Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. Thank you all for supporting the broadcast. We quite literally could not do this without you. You're not just stepping into personal power. You're becoming the dawn of something much bigger than yourself. Look around at the world right now. Notice how many systems are breaking down, how many old ways of doing things aren't working anymore, how many people are hungry for authentic leadership. The universe doesn't create voids without also creating the people to fill them. You represent a new wave of leadership, Not the kind that demands respect through fear or manipulation, but the kind that earns it through competence and character. Not the kind that hoards power, but the kind that uses power to lift others up. There are people watching you right now, people you don't even know about. They're taking notes on how you handle situations, how you treat people, how you make decisions under pressure. Some of them are researchers, some are analysts, some are just regular folks who recognize something different about you. In the future, people will study your approach. They'll analyze your methods. They'll create case studies about how you navigated this transition period, not because you were born special, but because you chose to step into your specialness when it mattered most. Think about the leaders and innovators who shaped history. They weren't necessarily the smartest people in the room, but they were the ones who recognized their moment and had the courage to act on it. That's exactly where you are right now. The wave of change you're part of isn't just about business or technology or social movements. It's about a fundamental shift in how power operates on this planet. The old model was about controlling resources and information. The new model is about empowering others and creating abundance. You're not just adapting to this shift, you're helping to create it. While everyone else sees your current challenges as problems, something deeper has been happening. Every difficult situation you've navigated, every impossible deadline you've met, every time you've had to figure something out with no manual or guidance, that wasn't just you surviving. That was you being trained. Think about the job that pushed you to your limits, but taught you capabilities you didn't know you had. The relationship that ended badly, but showed you exactly what you won't tolerate anymore. The financial struggle that forced you to get creative and discover income streams you never would have explored otherwise. What looked like setbacks were actually boot camp. You've been developing skills that can't be taught in any classroom or workshop. You've been building the kind of real-world intelligence that only comes from having to solve problems under pressure. You've been cultivating the emotional resilience that separates true leaders from people who just have impressive titles. Most people, when they face adversity, they break, or they quit, or they find someone else to blame. But you've been finding ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. You've been learning to see challenges as information instead of punishment. The very experiences that made you feel like you were falling behind were actually preparing you to leap ahead. While your peers were taking the safe, predictable path, you were getting educated in the school of real life. Now, when you encounter problems that would paralyze most people, you naturally start looking for solutions. When others see reasons why something won't work, you see ways to make it work anyway. When the conventional approach fails, you already know how to think outside the box, because thinking outside the box has been your survival strategy. That's not just resilience. That's leadership training disguised as hardship. There's a currency more valuable than money, more powerful than connections, more rare than talent. It's trust. And you've been accumulating it without even realizing it. Trust isn't something you can fake or force. It's earned through consistent actions over time. It's built when people see that you do what you say you're going to do, when you show up even when it's inconvenient, when you tell the truth even when it would be easier to lie. Every time you've kept your word, when breaking it would have been understandable, you made a deposit in your trust account. Every time you've taken responsibility instead of making excuses, you've increased your credibility. Every time you've chosen integrity over expedience, you've been building the foundation for the influence you're about to wield. Here's what most people don't understand. Trust compounds. Just like money in an investment account, the trust you've built over the years has been growing, accumulating interest, creating a reservoir of social capital that you're about to be able to draw from. When you speak, people listen because they know you don't waste words. When you make a recommendation, people take it seriously because your track record speaks for itself. When you ask for support, People give it because they know you'd do the same for them. This isn't about manipulation or using people. This is about the natural result of being someone who can be counted on. Trust is the currency that allows real leaders to create change without having to force it. And you've been building wealth in this currency for years. One of the most beautiful things about your positioning is that it's not just about you. When you sit at the head of the table, you're not just making decisions for today. You're creating a legacy that will impact generations. Look at it this way. There's a river that's been dividing communities for decades. Some people have learned to swim across, but it's dangerous and not everyone makes it. Some people have built boats, but they're expensive and most people can't afford them. Some people just accepted that they'd never get to the other side. But you're building a bridge. Not just any bridge, a bridge so strong and well-designed that your grandchildren's grandchildren will walk across it without even thinking about how it got there. They'll take for granted the opportunities you're creating right now, the barriers you're removing, the paths you're clearing, the 9-to-5 job that barely pays the bills. You're creating alternatives to that, the systems that keep people stuck in cycles of limitation. You're designing ways around them. The scarcity mindset that tells people they have to choose between financial success and personal fulfillment. You're proving that's a false choice. You're going to be around to see the fruits of your labor. This isn't about working yourself to death for some theoretical future payoff. You're going to witness your dreams becoming reality. You're going to experience the emotional fulfillment of knowing that your life's work is making a real difference. You're going to have moments, maybe sooner than you think, where you'll look around and realize that the thing you imagined, the change you wanted to see, the impact you hoped to make, it's actually happening. It's real. It's here. There's going to be a specific moment when everything falls into place. Not gradually, not eventually, but suddenly, like a puzzle where you've been struggling with scattered pieces for years, and then you find the right angle and everything just clicks. You'll be in the middle of what seems like an ordinary day when you realize that the conversation you're having, the decision you're being asked to make, the problem you're being asked to solve, it's not ordinary at all. You're being consulted because you're now the person people turn to when something really matters. It might happen like this. You're in a meeting and everyone's going around in circles about some complex issue. You listen for a while, then you speak up with what seems like an obvious solution. The room goes quiet. Someone says, "That's exactly right. Why didn't we think of that?" And you realize that they needed you to be there for the solution to emerge. Or maybe you're having a casual conversation with someone and they mention a challenge they're facing. You offer some perspective and they stop mid-sentence and say, "You know what? You should be running this whole operation." And something in their tone tells you they're not just being polite, they're recognizing something real. The moment will be unmistakable because of how it feels internally. There will be this sudden shift from "I hope I belong here" to "Of course I belong here." From "Maybe I can handle this" to "I was made for this." It's like stepping into a role you've been rehearsing for without knowing it, and discovering that the part fits you perfectly. Now, let's be real about something. Not everyone is going to be happy about your rise to power. There's going to be someone, maybe multiple someones, who will look at your success and think, "Wait a minute, I don't remember approving this. I know circumstances chose you, but I didn't sign off on that decision." You know the type. They're the people who think they should be making the decisions you're making. They believe they could run your business better than you, lead your team better than you, handle your responsibilities better than you. They're convinced that you don't deserve the seat you're in. Here's what they don't understand. You're not in that seat because of politics or luck or connections. You're there because you have something they don't have, the actual ability to handle the responsibility that comes with real power. They might try to undermine you. They might spread doubt about your qualifications. They might attempt to create chaos in your world, hoping that if things get messy enough, someone will decide you're not the right person for the job. But here's the thing about authentic power. It doesn't need to defend itself. It just needs to demonstrate itself. While they're playing games and creating drama, you'll be producing results. While they're talking about what they would do differently, you'll be actually doing it. While they're trying to tear you down, you'll be building something so impressive that their criticism becomes irrelevant. Eventually, even your harshest critics will have to admit, you know what? I can't do what they're doing. Let me step back and figure out how I can support this instead of fighting it. Right now, you're in a crucial period. The next week is going to be about establishing your new energetic frequency, the vibe that tells the world who you are and how you operate. This is your chance to set the pace, to establish the standards, to show people what it looks like when someone truly knows their worth and operates from that knowledge. Every decision you make in the next 7 days should be filtered through this question. Does this move me forward, or does it keep me stuck where I am? If it doesn't serve your forward progression, it's not for you right now. That toxic relationship that drains your energy, not for you. That job that pays the bills but kills your soul. Time to start planning your exit strategy. Those people who always have problems but never want solutions, they're going to have to find someone else to dump on. As you start operating from this new level of self-respect and personal authority, you're going to receive information and opportunities that weren't available to you before. It's like the universe has been waiting for you to step into this energy so it could finally give you access to the next level of resources. Some of this information is going to come through intuition, those sudden insights that seem to come from nowhere but turn out to be exactly what you needed to know. Some of it is going to come through other people, conversations that happen at just the right time, introductions that open doors you didn't even know existed. Pay attention to these messages. They're not coincidences. They're confirmations that you're on the right path, and they're guidance for how to navigate what's coming next. I need you to know this. You come from royalty. Not necessarily in the traditional sense, though some of you might actually have that in your bloodline. I'm talking about something deeper than that. You carry within you the genetic memory, the spiritual inheritance, the cosmic blueprint of leaders and innovators and change makers. This isn't something you earned or achieved. This is something you were born with, something that's been passed down through generations, something that was always meant to activate at exactly this moment in history. Think about your ancestors, not just the ones you know about, but the ones whose names are lost to history. There were people in your lineage who made difficult decisions so that their descendants could have better lives. There were people who took risks, who stood up to injustice, who refused to accept the limitations of their time. Their courage is in your DNA. Their wisdom is in your instincts. Their strength is in your ability to keep going when things get difficult. Just as you're the recipient of their legacy, you're also the creator of a legacy for the generations that come after you. The choices you make right now, the stands you take, the bridges you build, they're going to create opportunities for people who haven't even been born yet. You're not just inheriting power. You're also responsible for how that power gets passed on. You're not just receiving blessings. You're also determining what blessings your descendants will receive. If you're wondering whether any of this is really true, I want you to look at the evidence that's already in your life. Notice how people react to you differently now than they did a year ago. Notice how opportunities seem to find you more easily. Notice how your ideas are taken more seriously, how your opinions carry more weight, how your presence changes the energy in a room. You've probably been attributing this to confidence or experience or just getting older. But what if it's something more than that? What if people are unconsciously recognizing the authority that's awakening within you? Think about the last time you made a suggestion and everyone immediately agreed it was a good idea. Think about the last time someone came to you for advice instead of going to someone with more formal credentials. Think about the last time you took charge of a situation and everyone just naturally fell in line. That's not happening because you're forcing it. It's happening because you're radiating the kind of energy that naturally attracts followers and supporters and collaborators. Here's the shift that's already occurring. People are starting to see you as someone who gets things done, someone who can be trusted with important decisions, someone who has their act together even when everything around them is chaotic. They're beginning to understand that when you're involved in something, it's more likely to succeed. When you give your opinion, it's worth listening to. When you commit to something, it's going to happen. We're approaching the grand opening of your new chapter, Chosen One. Everything that's been building, everything that's been preparing, everything that's been positioning, it's all about to culminate in a moment of recognition that will change everything. You're going to have an experience soon where you'll look around and think, oh, this is really happening. This is really my life now. Maybe it will be a phone call with an opportunity that seemed impossible just months ago. Maybe it will be a meeting where you realize that you're the person everyone is looking to for leadership. Maybe it will be a moment of quiet reflection where you suddenly understand that you've become the person you always hoped you could be. However it happens, you're going to have undeniable proof that you're not just dreaming about being at the head of the table, you're actually sitting there. And the most beautiful part? This is just the beginning. The influence you're going to have, the lives you're going to change, the problems you're going to solve, the innovations you're going to create, all of that is still ahead of you. You're not reaching the peak of your power. You're just starting to understand what your power can do. Years from now, when people study this period of your life, they're going to identify this moment as the turning point. This is when everything changed. This is when you stopped waiting for permission and started operating from the authority that was always yours. The head of the table isn't just a seat, Chosen One. It's a responsibility, an opportunity, and a privilege. It's your chance to show the world what leadership looks like when it comes from authentic power instead of borrowed authority. You're ready for this. You've always been ready for this. The table is set. Your seat is waiting. Welcome to your new reality. Congratulations. You are the dawn of a new era.